Hi, hello. Welcome back to i-TUTOR NCERT series. Today, we are going to discuss Class 12 Geography NCERT Fundamentals of Human Geography, Chapter 2 The World Population, Distribution, Density and Growth. Let's start. The people of a country are its real wealth. It is they who are the actual resources and make use of the country's other resources and decides its policies. Ultimately, a country is known by its people. The world at the beginning of 21st century records the presence of over 6 billion population. Okay, so the world at the beginning of 21st century, so it's record a presence of over 6 billion population. The population of the world is unevenly distributed. The remark of George B. Cressy about the population of Asia that Asia has many places where people are few and a few places where people are very many. Okay, so this is a remark of George B. Cressy. Okay, so he said that the population of Asia, that Asia has many places where people are few and few peoples where people are very many. So it's true about the pattern of population distribution of the world also. Now let's take the patterns of population distribution in the world. Patterns of population distribution and density help us to understand the demographic characteristics of an area. The term population distribution refers to the way people are spaced over the Earth's surface. Okay, so what is called a population distribution? It refers to the way people are spaced over the Earth's surface. Okay, so that's called the population distribution. Broadly, 90% of the world's population lives in about 10% of the land area. Okay, so the 90% of the world's population. So this much population, 90% of the population lives in 10% of the land area. The 10 most populous countries of the world contribute about 60% of the world population. Okay, so the 10 most populous countries of the world, they contribute about 60% of the world's population. Of these 10 countries, 6 are located in Asia. Okay, so in these 10 countries, 6 are located in Asia. Now, look at this. So this is a population graph. So this is first one is China, but now there's a change in this graph. That is now India is the first one. Okay, then USA, Indonesia, Brazil, Pakistan, Nigeria, Bangladesh, next Russia and Mexico. Now, density of population. Each unit of land has a limited capacity to support people living on it. Hence, it is necessary to understand the ratio between the number of people to the size of land. Okay, so what? We should understand the ratio between the number of people to the size of land. This ratio is the density population. Okay, so what is called a density population? The ratio between the number of people to the size of land. So that is called the population density. It usually measured as persons per square kilometer density. Okay, so it's normally measured in the persons per square kilometer. Okay, so it's normally measured in persons per square kilometer density of population. Okay, so look at this. Density of population is equal to population by area. Okay, so population per area or population by area, that is called density of population. For example, area of a region X is 100 square kilometer and the population is 1,50,000 peoples. Okay, 1,50,000 persons. So how we can calculate the density? Density 1,50,000 by the area 100. Okay, so we get 1,500 person per square kilometer. Okay. Now, factors influencing the distribution of population. First one is geographical factors. That is availability of water. Water is the most important factor for life. Okay, so we know water is an important factor for life. Okay, so it also influence the distribution of population. So people are referred to live in areas where fresh water is easily available. Okay, so everyone want to prefer the area where fresh water is easily available. Water is used for drinking, bathing and cooking. also for cattle, crops, industries and navigation. It is because of this that river valleys are among the most densely populated areas of the world. Okay, so we know about the river valley system, that's our Indus Valley systems. Okay, so these are all near the these all these all valley systems, they are near the rivers. Okay, and these areas are the most densely populated areas. For example, the Indus Valley system, you know, there is a lot of peoples, or there is a lot of members are there, okay, near the Indus Valley civilization system or near the river. Okay, so that's why most of the populated areas of all the areas of the world are situated near the river valleys. So that is about the availability of water. Now second one is landforms. People prefer living on flat plains and gentle slopes. This is because such areas are favorable for the production of crops and the built roads and industries. Okay, so most of the people prefer living on a flat plains and gentle slopes. The mountainous and hilly areas hinder the development of transport network and hence initially do not favor agriculture and industrial development. Okay, so the mountainous area or the hilly area there do not favor for the agriculture and industrial developments. Okay, so people did not choose that places or these mountainous areas. Okay, so these areas tend to be less populated. The Ganga Plain are among the most densely populated areas of the world, while the mountain zones in the Himalaya are scarcely populated. Okay, so we know the Ganga Plain, they are most densely populated area, but at the same time the mountainous area like Himalayas are scarcely populated. Okay, so that is the influence of landforms. Next one is climate. An extreme climate such as very hot or very cold. Okay, so these are uncomfortable for human habitation. Okay, so that is called the desert regions. They are uncomfortable for human habitation. Okay, so the deserts are uncomfortable for the human habitats. Now, areas with a comfortable climate where there is not much seasonal variations attract more people. Areas with very heavy rainfall or extreme harsh climate have low population. Mediterranean regions were inhabited from early periods in history due to their pleasant climate. Okay, so the Mediterranean region, this is this area is inhabited from the early period due to the pleasant climate. Okay, so that is the influence of climate. Next one is soil. Fertile soil are important for agriculture and allied activities. Therefore, areas which have fertile loamy soils have more people living on them, as these can support intensive agriculture. Okay, so that is soils. Okay, so these are the geographical factors which influence the distribution of population. Now, the economic factors. First one is the minerals. Areas with mineral deposits attract industries. Mining and industrial activities generate employment. So, skilled and semi-skilled workers move to these areas and make them densely populated. Okay, so the areas with the mineral deposits, they attract industries, and also because of these industries, they generate employment. Okay, great employment on that place. So, skilled and semi-skilled peoples or workers, they move to the areas and make them densely populated. Now, Katanga Zambia Copper Belt in Africa is one such a good example. Okay, so the Katanga Zambia Copper Belt in Africa, that's an example for the influence of minerals, okay, in population distribution. Now, second one is urbanization. Cities offer better employment opportunities, educational and medical facilities, then better means of transport and communication. Good civic amenities and the attraction of the city life drew people to the cities. It leads to rural to urban migration and the citizens grow in size. Mega cities of the world continue to attract large number of migrants every year. Okay, so how urbanization influenced the distribution of population? So we know cities offer better employment opportunities, educational and medical facilities, and also better means of transport and communication. So people are always attracted to these factors and they move to the city area or the urban areas. Okay. Next one is industrialization. Industrial belts provide job opportunities and attract large numbers of people. Okay, so the industrial areas, they attract the skilled as well as semi-skilled peoples into these areas. And this includes not just factory workers but also transport operators, shopkeepers, bank employees, doctors, teachers and other service providers. Okay, so this industrialization, these include not factory workers only, they also contain service sectors such as the transport operators, shopkeepers, bank employees, doctors, teachers, etc. 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 The Kobe Osaka region of Japan. Okay, so the Kobe Osaka region, that's in Japan, is thickly populated because of the presence of a number of industries. Okay, so the example of industrialization is the Kobe Osaka region, that's in Japan. Okay, so that is the economic factors. Okay, how economic factors contributed for the influence, or how economic factors influence the population distribution. Now, population growth. The population growth or population change refers to the change in number of inhabitants of a territory during a specific period of time. Okay, so what is population growth? It is the change refers to the population change refers to the change in number of inhabitants of a territory during a specific period of time. This change may be positive as well as negative. Okay, positive means addition. Okay, if the number of people are increasing, then it is called positive. Then if the number of people are decreasing, then it's called negative. It can be expressed either in terms of absolute numbers or in terms of percentage. Population change in area is an important indicator of economic development, social upliftment and historical and cultural background of the region. Okay, so that is population growth. Okay, so there are two types of population growth. First one is positive, second one is negative. Now, components of population change. There are three components of a population change: birth, death and migration. The crude birth rate is expressed as number of live births in a year per thousands of population. Okay, so the crude birth rate, CBR. Okay, CBR, crude birth rate. That is the expressed as the number of live births in a year per thousands of population. Okay, so number of live births per thousands of population, that is called a crude birth year. That is birth by population into 1000. Okay, now CBR is crude birth rate, then B, live births during this year, P, estimated mid-year population of the area. Now, what is death rate? The death rates are also playing an active role in population change. Population growth occurs not only by increasing birth rates but also due to decreasing death rates. Okay, so population growth not only by increasing birth rates but also due to the decreasing death rates. So crude death rates, that is CDR, is simple method of measuring mortality of an area. So that is expressed in terms of number of deaths in a particular year per thousands of population in a particular region. Okay, so that is calculated in CDR is equal to D by P into 1000. Okay, so here D is equal to death rate. Okay, crude death rate. Now, migration. What is migration? What is called migration? Apart from birth and death, there is another way by which population size changes. When people move from one place to another, the place they move from is called a place of origin and the place they move to is called a place of destination. Okay, so if A is moving from this place to this area, okay, so A move from this to this area. So this area is called the place of origin. Okay, place of origin. Place of origin. And this area, this is called a place of destination. Okay, it's called place of destination. So place of origin and place of destination. The place of origin shows a decrease in population while the population increase in the place of destination. So this area, they show a negative trend in the population distribution. That is, they show the decrease in population, while this area, okay, they show positive change in the population. Migration may be interpreted as a spontaneous effort to achieve a better balance between population and resources. Okay, so the migration may be interpreted as a spontaneous effort to achieve a better balance between population and resources. Now, migration may be permanent, temporary, or seasonal. It may take place from rural to rural areas, rural to urban areas, urban to urban areas, and urban to rural areas. Okay, so migrations are of 4 types: from rural to rural, rural to urban, urban to urban, and urban to rural. Okay. Now, what is called immigration? Migrants who move into a new place are called immigrants. Okay, so those who are coming to a new place, they are called immigrants. So what is immigration then? The migrants who move out of a place, okay, into a place called immigrants, out of a place are called immigrants. Okay, so that is the difference between immigration and emigration. People migrate for better economic and social life. There are 2 sets of factors that influence migration. The push factor makes the place of origin seems less attractive for reasons like unemployment, poor living conditions, political turmoil, unpleasant climate, natural disasters, epidemics, and socio-economic backwardness. Okay, so there are 2 factors. Okay, so 2 sets of factors that influence migration. The first one is push factor and second one is pull factor. So what is push factor? They make the place of origin, okay, or they make people to push, okay, they make people push to change their region, okay, change their locality, because it's less attractive for reasons like unemployment, poor living conditions, political turmoil, unpleasant climate, natural disasters, epidemics, and socio-economic backwardness. Okay, so in this region there are very negative impacts. Okay, in that region only they have negative impacts, so they push to move to another region. Okay, they were pushed to move another region or another locality. So that's why these factors are called a push factor. Now, what are pull factors? These make the place of destination seems more attractive than the place of origin for reasons like better job opportunities and living condition, then peace and stability, security of life and property, and pleasant climate. Okay, so these are called pull factors. Okay, because they pull people to the area. Okay, these areas give conditions like more attractive jobs, then living conditions, peace and stability, security of life and property, then pleasure climate or pleasant climate. Okay, so these are the push factors and pull factors. Now, demographic transition. What is known as demographic transition? Demographic transition theories can be used to describe and predict the future population of an area. Okay, so this is used to describe and predict the future population of an area. Okay, so that is called demographic transition. The theory tells us that population of any region changes from high births and high deaths to a low births and low deaths as society progresses from rural agrarian and illiterate to urban industrial and literate society. Okay, so from rural agrarian and illiterate to urban industrial and literate society, what happened? The high birth and high death rates into low birth and low death rates. Okay, it changed. Now, these changes occurs in stages which are collectively known as demographic cycle. Okay, so these changes, they occur in stages and these are collectively known as demographic cycle. Okay, so look at this, rural and agrarian. Okay, so that is the situation of this area. So it changed to urban to industrial. Okay, urban and industrial. That is the demographic transition. Okay, the demographic transition happened here. Now, 3-staged model of demographic transition theory. Okay, so there is a 3-staged model of demographic transition theory. The first stage has high fertility and high mortality because people reproduce more to compensate for the deaths due to epidemics and variable food supply. The population growth is low and most of the people are engaged in agriculture where large families are an asset. Life expectancy is low. People are mostly illiterate and have low levels of technology. 200 years ago, all the countries of the world were in this stage. Okay, so that is the first stage. Okay, so here the high fertility and high mortality rate. So that's why people reproduce more. For what? To compensate the death. Okay, and the population growth is very slow, and the most of the people are engaged in agriculture, where large families are an asset. Okay, so most of the families or most of the people engaged in agriculture, so the large families, that is an asset for the agriculture. So, and also the life expectancy is very low here. Okay, so that is about the first stage. Now fertility remains high in the beginning of the second stage. Okay, so in the second stage what happened? The fertility remains high, but it declines with time. This is accompanied by reduced mortality rate. Improvements in sanitation and health conditions lead to decline in mortality. Because of this gap, the net addition to population is high. In the last stage, okay, so this is the second stage. Okay, in second stage the fertility remains high in the beginning, but it declines with the time. Okay, and also reduced mortality rate and improved in sanitation and health condition lead to decline in mortality. Okay, now last stage, both fertility and mortality decline considerably. The population is either stable or grows slowly. The population becomes urbanized, literate, and has technical know-how and deliberate controls the family size. This shows that human beings are extremely flexible and are able to adjust their fertility. In the present day, different countries are at the different stages of demographic transition. Okay, so now different countries are at different stages of the demographic transition. Okay, so that is the three-stage model of demographic transition theory. Now, population control measures. Family planning is the spacing or preventing the birth of children. Access to family planning services is a significant factor in limiting population growth and improving women's health. Okay, so it's important because to limiting the population growth and improving women's health. Propaganda, free availability of contraceptives, and tax disincentives for large families are some of the measures which can help population control. Thomas Malthus, in his theory, stated that the number of people would increase faster than the food supply. Okay, so the Thomas Malthus, in his theory, stated that the number of people would increase faster than the food supply. Any further increase would result in the population crash caused by famine, disease, and war. The preventive checks are better than the physical checks. For the sustainability of our resources, the world will have to contribute the rapid population increase. Okay, so that's all about the chapter. If you have any doubts, you can comment below. For more videos, do like, share, subscribe.